Broadcasting live from WOUB TV in Athens, this is Newswatch.
A local group is taking a stand against the Dakota Access Pipeline. Good evening, I'm Mackenzie Pyatt.
And I'm Chelsea Sick. Thanks for joining us. Standing Rock, North Dakota has seen months of protests due to a pipeline being built through what the Sioux tribe says is sacred land. Now a group of local veterans is traveling to the site to protect the protesters. WOUB's Abby Grisey has the story.
When you're so passionate about something and you just feel like you're really called to do it, there's no fear behind it.
Caitlin Perry's passion is driving her to Standing Rock, North Dakota on Saturday. She's a Navy veteran and organized local donations of supplies and funds. Over 20 local veterans are making the trip with her to meet up with about 2,000 other veterans from across the nation to form a peaceful militia. They intend to defend the Native people and other protesters from, quote, assault and intimidation at the hands of the militarized police force and Dakota Access Pipeline security.
Just seeing people their voices not being heard and treated so unfairly is absurd to me.
Perry's mother, Tiffany Pleshaw, is an Air Force veteran and is also traveling to North Dakota.
I guess the Native Americans have been put on the back burner for so long. So it's a human rights issue. The way they've been treated, it's just an atrocity.
For Jackson County Army veteran Josh McCarter, being a veteran isn't the only reason he feels so strongly about this cause. Rather, it's the human rights issues he feels are coming into question.
The vet status, to me personally, is irrelevant, but we'll use the status to get there to bring attention and awareness.
McCarter and the group leave Saturday morning for the Indian reservation and hopes their presence will be met with equal optimism.
It's the old saying, expect the worst and hope for the best.
For WOUB News, I'm Abby Grisey.
Athens Underground on Court Street will accept donations until 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. While a group is planning on showing their support in North Dakota, others are doing so from right here in Athens. A resolution that would oppose the Dakota Access Pipeline will be introduced at next week's Athens City Council meeting. Councilwoman Jennifer Cochran is introducing the resolution, and she says she heard requests from Athens citizens who expressed concern about the construction of the pipeline.
A Detroit man sentenced to 5 years in prison after being convicted by an Athens County Common Pleas Court jury has filed an appeal. Jelani Walker was found guilty in September of 2 second-degree felonies of aggravated trafficking in drugs and aggravated possession of drugs. Walker was charged after being arrested following a traffic stop by State Highway Patrol on U.S. Route 33 in the Plains back in March. A New York man accused of tampering with records, false voter registration, and illegal voting pleaded not guilty in Athens County Common Pleas Court. Jeremy Francis Parilla Valeda was indicted on October 31st on 2 third-degree felony tampering counts, 2 fifth-degree felony false registration counts, and 1 fourth-degree felony illegal voting count. Valeda claimed residence in both Ohio and New York and falsely registered to vote. The Athens County Board of Elections voted to reject Valeda's ballot as invalid.
Solar-powered recycling and trash containers have been placed throughout downtown Athens. City Council approved a 3-year rental of 24 of the Big Belly containers earlier this year. The trash receptacle has a solar-powered compactor that senses when the can is getting full and compacts it so more can be added. Upkeep and rental of the containers will cost $50,000 annually, while the new containers are only downtown now. Putting them in city parks is under consideration. The 6th annual Benefest concert hosted by 97.5 WLCI, The Fix, begins tonight and will conclude on Saturday. The Hocking College FM radio station has been coordinating the series to raise awareness for 2 local charitable organizations, The Gathering Place and Stewart's Opera House after-school music program. Tonight's show starts at 9 at Casa Cantina. Friday and Saturday shows start at 9 at the Union Bar and Grill. There is no cover charge, but donations are encouraged.
Good evening and welcome to the Newswatch Weather Center. I'm Ananda Harris. It's December 1st, and with the change in the month, we had a big change in temperatures. A cold front moved through last night, dropping temperatures down quite a bit for today. Current temperatures are in the 30s through most of the region. We're sitting at 38 degrees in Athens right now and 40 in Marietta and Ripley, so about 10 degrees colder than we were yesterday at this time. As we go overnight, we don't see a whole lot of relief from these cold temperatures. Chance for some flurries around 8 p.m. After that, though, just some clouds with lows getting down into the low 30s tonight. 31 is going to be your low here in Athens, 32 up in the capital, and 30 degrees for your low in Ripley. Now tomorrow we're not going to see a whole lot of a warm up, but maybe a little chance for some sunshine down south. So I'll let you know more on that coming up in just a little bit. Back to you, Chelsea.
Thanks, Ananda. An Ohio man in prison for murder must decide whether or not to pursue a new plea deal or a trial after making a guilty plea. The Franklin County Court of Appeals said Raymond Johnson's guilty plea was invalid because of a judge's error. The court reversed his convictions because the judge did not inform him of his right to confront witnesses if case went to trial. Johnson was accused of shooting a man in April 2014 and apologized to the family in court, but later tried to withdraw his pleas. A Vinton County logger was sentenced to prison yesterday for stealing over $2 million in timber from an elderly man's property. Mark Betts, the owner of Betts Logging, was sentenced to 4 years in prison in order to repay over $2 million in restitution. Betts cut around 700 acres, about 700 football fields worth of trees from the victim's property without permission, and then sold the timber to sawmills. Attorney General Mike DeWine's Special Prosecution Section prosecuted the case as a part of the Elder Justice Initiative.
The identity of skeletal remains is still unknown after Chillicothe police found them last month. They were found at a Chillicothe home on October 31st, but the identity of the remains may not be found out for 6 more months. The remains were found underneath several inches of garbage at 623 Glencroft Avenue. 69-year-old Charles Kaltenbach owned the house, and his family has provided DNA samples to be compared with the remains. The remains are being tested at the University of North Texas. The Ohio Senate voted unanimously to approve a bill that would make having sex with animals a crime in the state. Senate Bill 195 passed 31-0 on Wednesday, and now it is up to the Ohio House of Representatives to finalize the bill within the next week. Ohio is currently one of 11 states without anti-bestiality laws. The bill also authorizes the seizure of animals used for these purposes and says offenders must undergo psychological counseling. State Highway Patrol troopers in Ohio are targeting impaired driving this weekend. The effort will run from early Friday through Sunday. Ohio troopers have made more than 23,000 arrests for driving under the influence in 2016. Ohio troopers and their counterparts from Indiana, Kentucky, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia are participating in the effort. The effort is part of the 6-state trooper project aimed at providing combined and coordinated law enforcement. And coming up next, President-elect Trump begins his thank you tour and is in the Buckeye State tonight.
Plus, the maker of your morning coffee is getting a new CEO. We have the details on what's happening at the corporate offices of Starbucks. These stories and more when Newswatch returns.
University students really have a huge sense of pride in our campus, in our school, and in our education.
People don't come to Ohio just to go to college. They come here to become a Bobcat.
It's a really unique atmosphere.
Bobcat pride is having that natural camaraderie.
Bobcats are just happy to be Bobcats.
My favorite time of year at Ohio has to be homecoming.
When the alumni come back, you can see that the love of this university doesn't fade.
Once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat.
The student body here at Ohio University absolutely is a family.
The students support one another.
You become this unit, this big, friendly family unit.
There's this connectedness.
You feel a part of something.
Driving in on the highway and just seeing the red bricks and the trees again, it's just like coming back home.
There's great students, great professors.
You just walk around campus and think, oh my gosh, I can't believe I go here.
I feel like I matter in the community, and I feel like I matter here at Ohio University.
It's home. Athens is home. I knew that I wanted to come to Ohio University from the very first time I visited here.
There's something about the campus that grabs you.
It was really comforting.
Very welcoming.
It's one thing to write down your name and your GPA and that kind of stuff and send it in. It's another thing entirely to be here and see how great it is.
The campus here is just electric.
Absolutely gorgeous. Everything just looked really college-like.
I looked at my mom and I said, "This is it." And she said, "The tour's just started." I said, "No, you don't understand. This is it."
My professors really care. They care about my grades, they care about my opportunities, they care about my experiences, they want me to succeed.
They give those opportunities to the students.
My professors have been extremely approachable.
Literally, their door is always open.
You can go to them with pretty much anything.
Everyone knows your first and your last name and where you sit in the classroom.
I really never feel like I'm being talked down to or just being taught material. I always feel like we're having a conversation.
And they want to share those opportunities and those experiences with us.
He spent most of the 3 weeks since his win out of the public eye. Today, President-elect Donald Trump took a break from transition planning in New York and hit the road with Vice President-elect Mike Pence. And the team is already claiming a victory on a campaign promise. Karen Kafa reports from Washington.
Donald Trump took off from New York Thursday morning en route to his first major public appearance since election night. With the exception of a Thanksgiving break in Florida, the president-elect has been mostly hunkered down inside Trump Tower in New York, piecing together an administration that will take over in just 7 weeks. He's made visits to the White House and Capitol Hill, and on Tuesday night, cameras caught his dinner with Mitt Romney.
Mr. President-elect, we're looking at the next Secretary of State right here. Well, we're going to see what happens.
But a rally in Cincinnati, Ohio will mark Trump's first turn before a large crowd since the final frantic day of the campaign. The event, in a state no Republican has won the White House without, described by the transition team as part of a thank you tour.
We'd also look for the president-elect and the vice president-elect to talk a bit more about what's coming ahead in the days in front of us and the positive change that we're going to be bringing to the country.
But first, a stop in Indiana, touting a different victory, carrying through on a campaign promise to convince air conditioning manufacturer Carrier to drop plans to move production to Mexico and keep 1,000 jobs in the U.S. In his role as Indiana governor, Vice President-elect Mike Pence was poised to offer the company tax incentives to stay in the state. In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
Trump's thank you tour continues in just a few minutes here in Ohio. He'll be back at U.S. Bank Arena in Cincinnati, and his speech is set to start at 7 p.m. Former NASA astronaut Buzz Aldrin was evacuated from the South Pole today after falling ill during a visit with a tour group. The 86-year-old was transported to a hospital in Christchurch, New Zealand this afternoon. The second person to walk on the moon arrived at the South Pole on November 29th. He was scheduled to remain there until December 8th, but his condition deteriorated shortly after arriving, according to a statement from the tour company, White Desert. They released a statement revealed Aldrin had fluid in his lungs, but is responding well to antibiotics and is in stable condition.
Starbucks CEO is stepping down. Howard Schultz's surprise decision to step aside next year sent the company's stocks down 3% in after-hours trading today. Schultz isn't going away, though. In April, he will focus on opening more innovative and high-end Starbucks shops. Schultz has stepped down as Starbucks CEO before. He left the company in 2000 and became the owner of the Seattle Supersonics. He famously returned 8 years later to help guide the coffee giant through the recession and restore growth. Today, there are more than 24,000 retail Starbucks stores in 70 countries. It all started after Schultz traveled to Italy in 1983, where he became captivated with Italian coffee bars, then brought the tradition to the U.S. Former Microsoft senior exec Kevin Johnson will replace Schultz to become the new chief executive. And on Wall Street today, stocks varied across the board. Here's a look at stocks of local interest. HIV infection rates have significantly dropped among African American and Latino drug users. We'll explain the reason behind the drop next on Newswatch.
And we've seen some cooler temperatures move into the region. I'll let you know just how cold those temperatures are going to get. Plus, we may see some rain next week. All that and your extended forecast coming up on Newswatch.
Professors really care. They care about my grades, they care about my opportunities, they care about my experiences, they want me to succeed.
They give those opportunities to the students.
My professors have been extremely approachable.
Literally, their door is always open.
You can go to them with pretty much anything.
Everyone knows your first and your last name and where you sit in the classroom.
I really never feel like I'm being talked down to or just being taught material. I always feel like we're having a conversation.
And they want to share those opportunities and those experiences with us.
Ohio University students really have a huge sense of pride in our campus, in our school, and in our education.
People don't come to Ohio just to go to college. They come here to become a Bobcat.
It's a really unique atmosphere.
Bobcat pride is having that natural camaraderie.
Bobcats are just happy to be Bobcats.
My favorite time of year at Ohio has to be homecoming.
When the alumni come back, you can see that the love of this university doesn't fade.
Once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat.
I knew that I wanted to come to Ohio University from the very first time I visited here.
There's something about the campus that grabs you.
It was really comforting.
Very welcoming.
It's one thing to write down your name and your GPA and that kind of stuff and send it in. It's another thing entirely to be here and see how great it is.
The campus here is just electric.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Everything just looked really college-like.
I looked at my mom and I said, "This is it." And she said, "The tour's just started." I said, "No, you don't understand. This is it."
The student body here at Ohio University absolutely is a family.
The students support one another.
You become this unit, this big, friendly family unit.
There's this connectedness.
You feel a part of something.
Driving in on the highway and just seeing the red bricks and the trees again, it's just like coming back home.
There's great students, great professors.
You just walk around campus and think, oh my gosh, I can't believe I go here.
I feel like I matter in the community, and I feel like I matter here at Ohio University.
It's home. Athens is home.
Welcome back to the Newswatch Weather Center. I'm Ananda Harris. Right now in Athens, we're at 38 degrees. Luckily for us, no wind right now. It's calm out there, so not feeling too chilly. We do have cloudy skies across the region right now. Across much of the area, temperatures are in the upper 30s and low 40s. We have 38 degrees up in the capital and over in Newark, and our warmest point is going to be down south at 42 degrees in Ironton. Looking at our almanac for today, it was a little bit on the chilly side. We only hit a high of 42 degrees, that normal being 48, so we were a bit cold for the first day of December. Our low, though, was still a little bit on the high side, even though it felt pretty cold this morning. We were only at 39 degrees, that normal being 31, and we are well above that record low of 8 degrees set in 1964. Now, if we take a look at our precipcast, we see this low pressure system moving off to the northeast. That's what was giving us those rain and cloudy skies over the last few days. That'll continue to move out of the region with high pressure building down south. That'll give us some sunny skies for Saturday. On Friday, we'll still be a bit cloudy, but you do have some sunshine to look forward to for your weekend. Now overnight, we're going to drop down to a low of 31 degrees in Athens with mostly cloudy skies. Those clouds will hang around most of the region. Those clouds, though, are a good thing because they're going to trap that heat, making it so those temperatures don't get too cold overnight. And into the morning, we're still going to be at 31 degrees for your bus stop forecast, so make sure you send those kids out with a coat. We're not going to heat up a whole lot tomorrow. May see a little bit of sunshine between 8 a.m. and noon, a few breaks in those clouds, but then for the afternoon, those clouds are going to roll right back in. We're only going to get into the low 40s for tomorrow, hitting a high of 43 degrees, so a little bit chilly once again. Across the region tomorrow, highs all in the upper 30s and 40s tomorrow. 39 is going to be our coldest point at New Lexington, and down south you guys get to be a little bit warmer at 45 degrees for the high in Ironton. And for your 7-day forecast, we see our greatest chance for some sun on Saturday, 41 degrees, so still kind of chilly, but make sure you get out there and enjoy that sunshine because Sunday it's going to be cloudy again with some rain as an upper level disturbance passes through. And then for your work week, we're going to start heating up a little bit midweek, but with those warmer temperatures, we are going to see some cloudy skies and rain on Tuesday and Thursday. So not a great week for being outside, but at least some warm temperatures on the way. Over to you, Mackenzie.
Thanks, Ananda. Today is World AIDS Day, a chance for people to unite in the fight against HIV, show their support for people living with it, and to commemorate people who have died from it. The U.S. Center for Disease Control says needle exchanges have played a role in a huge drop in new HIV diagnosis. Kim Hutcherson explains in today's Health Minute.
Needle exchanges have contributed to significant drops in new HIV infection rates among African American and Latino drug users, according to research from the CDC. Needle exchanges provide sterile syringes to users who often share needles. 1/3 of all intravenous drug users say they have shared needles in the past year, a dangerous practice that can transmit bloodborne diseases like HIV, hepatitis B, and hepatitis C. The CDC's research found that rates of new HIV diagnoses among African American users dropped nearly 60% between 2008 and 2014. At the same time, the rate of needle sharing for that group fell by 34%. Among Latino drug users, the rate of new HIV infections dropped almost 50%. Needle sharing among that demographic fell by 12%. But the trend isn't holding up for white intravenous drug users. For them, new infection rates fell by only 27% during the study period. And more than 40% of white drug users say they share needles, about the same rate as a decade ago. For today's Health Minute, I'm Kim Hutcherson.
Ohio University showed its support by offering free HIV and STI testing in Baker Center earlier today.
Coming up in sports, hear what Ohio football head coach Frank Solich has to say about tomorrow's MAC championship game. Plus, Ohio men's basketball traveled to Marshall last night and did something they haven't done since 2008. That and more is coming up next on Newswatch. And as always, stay tuned to WOUB. Here's what's coming up on your local public television station.
Friday nights are all about high school football, but when the games are over and the helmets come off, it's time for some gridiron glory. I'm your host, Danny Dean, back under center. Don't miss a play this season. Join myself and the rest of our team on Friday nights at 11:30 on WOUB and catch us again on Saturday mornings at 11:30. We are committed to bringing you the stories of players, coaches, and communities. And of course, we can't forget about some highlights. We all know there's nothing better than Friday nights and gridiron glory.
Ohio University students really have a huge sense of pride in our campus, in our school, and in our education.
People don't come to Ohio just to go to college. They come here to become a Bobcat.
It's a really unique atmosphere.
Bobcat pride is having that natural camaraderie.
Bobcats are just happy to be Bobcats.
My favorite time of year at Ohio has to be homecoming.
When the alumni come back, you can see that the love of this university doesn't fade.
Once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat.
My professors really care. They care about my grades, they care about my opportunities, they care about my experiences, they want me to succeed.
They give those opportunities to the students.
My professors have been extremely approachable.
Literally, their door is always open.
You can go to them with pretty much anything.
Everyone knows your first and your last name and where you sit in the classroom.
I really never feel like I'm being talked down to or just being taught material. I always feel like I'm having a conversation.
And they want to share those opportunities and those experiences with us.
I knew that I wanted to come to Ohio University from the very first time I visited here.
There's something about the campus that grabs you.
It was really comforting.
Very welcoming.
It's one thing to write down your name and your GPA and that kind of stuff and send it in. It's another thing entirely to be here and see how great it is.
The campus here is just electric.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Everything just looked really college-like.
I looked at my mom and I said, "This is it." And she said, "The tour's just started." I said, "No, you don't understand. This is it."
Welcome back, I'm Steven Hernandez. Before we get to local sports news, we have some breaking national news coming into the newsroom. Former NFL player Joe McKnight was shot and killed in a road rage incident earlier today in New Orleans, Louisiana. The 28-year-old Louisiana native was a high school standout and five-star recruit for Pete Carroll's USC football team in 2007. McKnight also played for the New York Jets and Kansas City Chiefs from 2010 to 2014 before playing in the CFL in 2016. Police on the scene identified the shooter as 54-year-old Ronald Gaser. No motive has been determined. Ohio men's basketball dropped their first game of the season last night in a 98-88 loss to Marshall. Ohio came into the game giving up only 65 points per game and actually led 47-42 shortly after halftime, but the Herd took over in the second half. As a team, Marshall shot better than 48% from the floor, led by guard John Elmore, who had 28 points, 5 assists, and 7 rebounds. Tony Campbell led the way for Ohio with 31 points and 16 boards. This was Ohio's first loss in Huntington since 2008, back when the Bobcats were coached by current University of Illinois head coach John Gross. As for Ohio football, head coach Frank Solich spoke today with Detroit media to talk about the upcoming game against Western Michigan for the MAC championship tomorrow.
We're looking forward to the game. Obviously, we're playing an opponent that is undefeated, has played a lot of great football throughout the course of the season, and are well coached. A lot of great athletes, and so it's a challenge. But we're looking forward to the challenge. Should be a great game.
In the NBA, Cavs are off to one of their best starts in franchise history with 13 wins and 3 losses. Tonight, they're facing off against the Los Angeles Clippers, one of the best teams in the Western Conference. The Clippers will travel to Cleveland and put their 14-5 record on the line. The Clippers are one of the few NBA teams with a star trio that can rival LeBron, Kyrie, and Kevin Love. Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, and DeAndre Jordan each have an All-NBA honor in their name. Last time out for both teams, the Cavs lost to the Bucks and the Clippers lost to the Nets. Tip-off will be at 8. As for the King himself, Cavs forward LeBron James was named the Sports Illustrated Sportsperson of the Year this morning. James led the Cavs to their first NBA championship in team history this past summer over the Golden State Warriors. The championship also became the city of Cleveland's first championship in more than 50 years. LeBron is only the second person to win SI Sportsperson of the Year twice, Tiger Woods being the other. LeBron beat out several other Sportsperson of the Year candidates, including Michael Phelps, Simone Biles, and the entire Chicago Cubs team. In baseball, MLB and its players' union agreed to a new collective bargaining agreement last night, so the league will avoid a work stoppage. A couple of new changes in the agreement. One of the big ones will be that the annual All-Star Game will no longer determine home field advantage in the World Series. And the minimum stay of disabled list will also be reduced from 15 days to 10. The league's luxury tax is also increasing from $195 million. And the Ohio University winter track team is kicking off their 2016-17 season right now with a dual meet against Marshall University in Huntington, West Virginia. Ohio will face Marshall in several events, including throwing events, 400 meters, 60 meter hurdle, 600 meter, 200 meter, and the 4x4 meter. Bobcat fans are able to follow the results by visiting the Canal Valley Track and Field Officials Association website under the Marshall Opener link. I'm Steven Hernandez, and that's it for sports. Back to you, Chelsea.
Thanks, Steven. Nerves of one stressed out baby goat. One owner says, totes my goats. Jeremy Roth has what today's. Take a look at this. Meet Polly the goat. Polly's owner, who runs an animal sanctuary in New Jersey, says the goat suffers from severe anxiety. But not to worry. Apparently, this goofy duck costume is just what the doctor ordered. Polly's owner says for whatever reason, when Polly puts on the costume, she is happy as a clam. Or I guess, a duck. That's right, Polly wants a quacker, and as bizarre as it may be, the internet is loving it. Polly is going viral, quacking up thousands on social media.
And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. I'm Mackenzie Pyatt.
Stay tuned for the PBS News Hour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime at WOUB.org. I'm Chelsea Sick. Have a great night.